Okay, good morning, or afternoon, sorry. I've gotten so much done today, I swear. I've been going live recently, talking a lot about my experiences in the last year and a half with being gang stalked, which has been absolutely crazy. It's been such a nightmare. I feel like a lot of people know what's happened. A lot of people have heard about it. I think a lot of people who had nothing to do with the situation got involved because people were involved or bribed to come to my store to be disrespectful. I think people were even bribed to purchase from our store where there was probably no genuine interest in purchasing from our store, because we do have very particular clothing for a particular woman of a particular age. I feel like a lot of people don't even know what gang stalking is. People don't know. I think people understand what a stalker is, but I don't think people understand what it feels like for a bunch of people to stalk you. It just basically is like in the movies where just everywhere you go, there's somebody that's there to intimidate you. They'll use anybody at all. It could be old, young, Muslim, Christian, whatever. I don't know exactly how they tell people to do this. I don't know what they say, but people go for it. People do it. I assume that there's money involved, or maybe a promise of money. And I feel like, I feel like in situations like this where somebody has nothing to do with a situation and they get involved, you're no longer innocent, because you shouldn't be following people or doing things. Maybe like, so I thought about this yesterday, because yesterday we went somewhere, my daughter and I, and there was a lady sitting in an empty parking lot, just sitting in her car as her car was running. And as we drove up past her, because I wanted to take a look at her face, guilt flashed over her face. And guilt is something that is very, like, you can't mistake when someone looks guilty or is guilty. So the look of guilt came over her face, and she was having this conversation on the phone, and she stopped and she looked down. And I was just thinking to myself, that's the thing, is that they bribe these people, they get these people to do this, and these people know that it's wrong. So you're literally no longer innocent when you turn around and you do these kind of things to innocent people. And the thing about it, and I explained this in another video on my YouTube about what gang stalking is like in detail. And I explained things like your mail being stopped. My mail was stopped for 3 months. I explained things like everywhere you go, they want you to know. Hey YouTube, check out Can Boutique for super trendy dresses and genuine furs on clearance as low as 70% off. Prices starting as low as $27 Canadian. Visit www.shopcan.com. They want you to know that they're there. I explain things like them bribing people at the bank if they can't get the password to your bank, from you being hacked, because all your devices are hacked. And they bribe people at the bank to find out what you have going on. And it is insane that people sign up for that. So you can say they keep getting innocent people involved, but if you work for the bank and somebody asks for someone's information, quite frankly, you're not innocent. So I think there's absolutely nobody who's involved in gang stalking that's innocent in any way, shape, or form. I feel like everybody's guilty just by association, because decent people say no. They say no. I used to be an insurance advisor, and we had a code of ethics around protecting people's information. I couldn't even answer questions. The only person or people that I could answer questions to about a person's personal information are people who have something to do with the policy that I'm selling. So that would be the actual company, or maybe an auditor that's coming in to audit the company. But I can't just take, like, if one of my colleagues even says, hey, I know you have a file and it's for my mother. I know my mother came to you and did a policy with you. Can you just let me know how much her premium is? I can't do that legally. I cannot. They won't do, like, I'm legally not allowed to do that. I have to protect people's information. Not only that, I have to protect the laptop and the phones and the devices I have the information on. Because if those get hacked, I have to report it to the company, who then reports it to my whole book of business, whether they were affected or not. Because we have to be able to trust the people that we're giving our information to. I had people's social insurance information. I had people's health information. And so much so that even in putting a policy together, somebody answers like a health question, I don't even mention it ever again. I have to like take it out of my head. I cannot even look at them as, like, say they say, okay, I used to be hooked on drugs at one point or whatever. I'm not there to be personally involved in that. It's like, I'm a financial practitioner. So to live in a world where the postage, the Canada Post can be bribed, the bank is being bribed, the police are being bribed, who are paid to serve and protect. Medical professionals are being bribed. Social workers are being bribed to take away people's children from their custody. Why do you think the rates of Black children being taken away is so high? It's all related to drug recruitment and drug culture. The minute you say no, the minute you say you don't want to do it, people like John Ferreira, who is the one who gang stalked me, come into your life and disrupt your life. And I thank God every day. The reason my children, they couldn't get to my children, is because my kids are way too old to be in the system. My children are too old to be in the system. They get in between custody battles with parents, and if they want to get you, they start working on the opposite parent, providing support and providing assistance in the social service network to get that child taken away from you. What can be more painful, especially to a mother? What could be more painful than losing a child? And I always advocate for this. Listen, there are mothers who are not good mothers, but if they can see the benefit in rehabilitating criminals, then you can rehabilitate a mother to train her on what is appropriate and inappropriate behavior for a child, to keep a child in the care of the biological mother. I strongly believe that. Unless she's like just on drugs, mentally ill, like it's really bad. But this is a really important bond to sever. These are monsters. So this is what I've been dealing with, and I've been dealing with it for a year and a half, and I've been in it long enough to observe how they work, observe patterns. We are in Toronto. We are in Canada, a big country that is not supposed to have this kind of stuff happen. And people are out here breaking every single law that can be broken just to break a person's psyche, to take away their ability to take care of themselves and force them into being a drug mule. And if they've seen too much, then their goal now is to break your mind. I did really well under being gang stalked for, a couple of reasons. You guys have to watch my YouTube videos to see. You can see from the titles, like some of them are like, you can learn something from every video. Even a video entitled How to Survive Gang Stalking will really make you lean back and say, what? You had to do what? It really makes you see how bad this is, or how bad this was. Like, I'm driving around with no cell phone on me. I'm using cash like a fugitive in this country, and I've done nothing wrong. And this is what happens to everyone. It's not just me. My ex is going through that. There are people who have made the agreement for them to be a drug mule, getting on the plane, transporting drugs. They've made that agreement to do that and be part of that. And them making that agreement has binded their life and has shackled them to the cycle of being controlled like that. Like they are not coming out. Like they will not let these people out of this agreement. And not only will they not let you out, but they micromanage your life. Who you get to be in love with. They chase people away. who you want to be in relationships with, love or not. They turn people on you. They try to turn me on my ex. It wouldn't work. I'm a person of principle. I just don't do things like that. They will turn your children against you if they can. They will groom your children. Like, you'll start noticing behaviors in your children where they're either they start being more sexual, or they start being more aggressive, or they start being this or that. It is just, they try to ruin your life. They try to take your life and shred it so that you have no one or nothing and no money. And then they're like, now that I've broken you down, how are you going to survive? It's either homelessness or you sell drugs. And they're content with you being homeless. They've made people homeless. And you know, with everything that I'm saying, the craziest part about it, of going through this cycle, is knowing personally people who have gone through it, people who are stuck in it, people who they recruited while they were trying to chase me, is knowing people personally. I could sit up here and ruin people's public platforms by giving you guys a long list of names that are involved, that I'll have to be honest, majority of people that I know are victims. I know on both sides, victims and perpetrators on both sides. But a lot of people I know are victims. They have like the whole black community in the palm of their hands in Toronto. And they just pick people out one after the next, after the next, after the next. And you know what makes you the biggest target? If you have a business that is thriving, if you have a platform that is thriving, if you're a DJ that's big, or an MC, or anything like that, these are the people that they go after the most. You have a social work position, a position in social working. As a matter of fact, they make their people go get re-educated in social work to enter the social work system, to enter the system as social workers. So they have built-in people. They are in the school systems, they're in the healthcare system, they're everywhere. They try to be everywhere. Everywhere there is somebody that will influence an investigation where the investigation won't go further, or somebody that's going to influence your case when your file comes in to the CAS so that they can really abuse you, talk down to you. There's going to be, if you have a lawyer, they're going to try to bribe the lawyer. Like, there's always something. This is how they operate. I can come here and I can talk about it because I've beaten it. I'm not scared of it. It has no effect on me. So, you know, there are days that they can actually find me, because most days it's just too hard to stalk me. But there are days when they can actually find me that, like yesterday was a day, because we turned on our phone because we were watching things on YouTube, as, you know, we were out and about, and I was searching up addresses and stuff. And, you know, they do things like they wait for when you're coming home. Okay, so she's on this part of the highway and she's coming towards home. Okay, fine. And they wait. They keep somebody in the park, walking the park. And then there's somebody by the driveway, and a car will just sit there with the engine on. But here's the thing. I realize that the big hold that they have on you is that you know you're being followed, and you don't know why, and you don't know the intention, and you don't know if people are dangerous and they want to kill you. So that's the big hold that they have. However, once you know what is going on and who it is, and you break it down to a very logical human form, it doesn't mean anything. This person can't kill you. They might want to, they might fantasize about it in their spare fucking time, but they can't do shit. They just have to be home and be mad. If they have a home, for as long as they're gonna have a home, because this man's exposed. Nobody in their right mind is gonna hire John Ferreira to gang stalk them with the information that I'm putting out, because as soon as you recognize the patterns, you know it's John Ferreira. I don't know if he's in denial that his career is permanently over, but it's permanently over. It's done. You can't be a gang stalker anymore. It is what it is, because the moment someone makes a police report, even if he wasn't known to police, they have his full name. They have his business, where his business used to be, which means that now they could go to the CRA and they could get all the information that they need. It's trackable. Big Brother can find you. And they know who he is. They know who he is because there's police involvement. They know who he is and they know where to find him. They're just not, because it's not loud enough yet. But they know where to find him. They can build a case on him very easily. They can find him. But this is the world that we live in. This is what I'm here to talk about. So I took my first 15 minutes to kind of, for people that are new, for people that are just watching this for the first time, this is the horrific nightmare that some people live. And this takes such a toll that people absolutely begin to, over time, develop mental side effects from having gone through this. So whether that's extreme paranoia, whether that's hallucinating, whether that's, not being able to differentiate different things, whatever that is, people have symptoms of this sort of emotional and mental abuse that comes down so consistently with such force. And so this is what happens when someone subjects you to this every single day, all the time, round the clock. And in order to, you can't just sit in a house all day and lock yourself up. That's not good for you. You got to get out there in the fresh air. You got to be around people. You got to get into the sun. And people are scared to do that because they know that as soon as they go out, they're going to be tracked. They're going to feel claustrophobic. They're going to have people coming from every hallway, every corner, every store they go into. They're going to know that they're being followed because these people behave weird and narcissistic on purpose. And this is being ran by a psychopath who I am going to put in his fucking grave just off of stress of being humiliated, reported, outed, exposed. He is under attack in every single way that he can be under attack, and I don't have to do anything. It's his actions that are exposing him. It's his lies that are exposing him. It's people knowing what he did and how he manipulated them and how he got them involved in things that they should not be involved, that had they had full disclosure, they probably would not want to be involved in. The emotional toll of knowing that you can't go outside and that you can't talk to people and you can't live a normal life and that you're outed and people are going to start to go to the police to report. And you're not going to know who's reporting and when they're reporting, when they realize what they've done or what they've been a part of, and they're going to cover themselves. This is the kind of stress that other people have been under, being followed and gang stalked all over the place. This is the craziness that other people have had to endure. So anyway, I usually make my videos for people on YouTube. So I wanted to impart a little bit of wisdom, things that I've learned, and things that, information that has really been useful to me in getting through this, because you need as much help as you can. I know that there are a lot of YouTube pages out there that talk about what's going on and that kind of validate your experience, but my YouTube videos are literally for methodical ways and plans of action and ways that you can get out of this situation, and if you cannot get out because they don't want to stop, then ways that you can insulate yourself from the kind of pressure that you're being subjected to all the time. I want to first talk about listen, God has to be working on you for you to even find yourself in this situation. That's how I feel. I feel that God has been working on me for a very, very long time. Now, the thing about a relationship with God is that, spiritually, you have free will as a human being. So things must always be done with your permission. Now, are there times where you don't get all the information and you make a decision based on an offer that is presented that looks good? Absolutely. That's what they do. When they want you to be a drug mule, they only present to you that it's going to be fun, it's a party environment, everybody's having a good time, private jets and designer bags and blah, 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 and fancy houses and whatever, and then you think you want to go ahead and be involved in this. However, that is not the full story. They don't tell you about the part where they gang stalk people. They don't tell you that you're binded in with them. They don't tell you that you belong to them. And they don't tell you exactly what it takes to get out, that you do not get out with anything that you got in there, that they take everything from you. And when you get in there, whatever you had before you got in, they try to take it out of your hands. They try to take it out of your hands. They try to ruin it for you. You know, I could have seen that they were trying that with property that I had in addition to my main home, that they were just trying to take that out of my hands, get me stuck with tenants that are not gonna pay, or just get my house, you know, stuck with people in there or whatever. Like, it's like, you can see, if you really pay attention, you can see what the plot and the scheme is. So that's one thing. But when I say that God's been working on you, I really want to impart that despite your free will, God has had to show you a lot of things. So part of the reason that you even recognize that you're being followed, every once in a while, there's a person that recognizes they're being followed, they're being researched, they're being triangulated. Because a lot of people are triangulated, followed, stalked, whatever, and they don't know. They can't see, they can't tell. So the fact that you can even tell to begin with, the fact that you can tell means that you obviously have an ability and you're more keenly aware, and you might probably be intuitive. Because I'll tell you, I'll be with people and see weird behavior and look at them and be like, you didn't see that? And they're like, no, I don't know. So that's the first one. God's been working on you. You need to have gone through, I believe, a certain amount of trials to even get to this one. This is like one of the biggest trials that you're going to go through in your life. Because this looks and feels like being in a movie where literally, like I've described it before, like you see a movie where like they're after a spy and like a bum's on the side of the road, but he's a secret agent with a walkie-talkie. Like, it's literally like that. It's like happening in plain sight, but nobody's noticing as they rush back and forth in their day. But it's literally that sort of thing that is happening. So you have to have, I think, learned a certain amount of lessons before you even come to this point in your life. One of the things that will happen to you during this time is God is going to clean house for you. God is going to clean everyone out of your life. You've just collected a whole bunch of people that, let's be real, you know those people don't like you. They don't mean the best for you. And God is using these people to get rid of these people for you. Do not be confused. Every single thing that happens for you in the course of being gang stalked is happening for you and not to you. Every single thing that's happening. These are not things that are happening by accident. The fact that they want to isolate you means that God wants you alone. God wants to take care of you. God wants to talk to you. God wants to teach you. God wants you without outside influence, and God wants you to recognize, you know, God's presence as very active and alive, real time. You're in a very magical space right now. Prayers can be answered in real time. No waiting. If I pray for something right now, it happens right now. It's like you can move mountains. But you got to experience that. You got to be away from people and away from the negative experience. And God is going to, not negative experience, but negative influences. And God is going to guide you to positive influences over time. You need to also see yourself as a fighter, because you're in a fight. You know, I think that gang stalking victims are very special, unique individuals, and it shows. I think that these are very special, unique individuals. I'll leave it at that. You know, people call themselves a lot of different names, but in your heart, you know in your heart what you're feeling, and you've always felt this way. You've probably never fit in. You've probably been kinder than most people. You've probably been more understanding. You can probably see through people a lot easier. And you've probably felt yourself to be very specially taken care of by God all the time. Like maybe a little bit more than people. And you've probably suffered a lot of envy. People that probably don't like you right on seeing you on sight. There are a lot of things that we all have in common, for sure. But as you're going through this, what I always guide people who watch my videos to think is that you're not a victim, you're a fighter. You need to see yourself as a fighter, and so you need to take away fear. Think about it this way. Even though you physically feel alone, you know, in history there have been child kings or queens. People who have no choice but to take the throne at a very young age, 9 years old, 13 years old. And then they find themselves at war right away. These monarchs always turn out to be more feared than regular monarchs who took the throne as adults and who didn't have to survive war. Because to survive war at any age is bad enough, but to survive war as a child takes a special skill set and a special protection and special guidance, because you're just a child. And spiritually, if you're going through gang stalking, you're probably just a child. It's the perfect time. Spiritually, you're a child. So in the tarot, you'll be described as a child. In the tarot, you're a child. Because you don't yet know your powers. You don't yet know that you have gifts, or you may not know how to use your gifts, or maybe you're using your gifts for nonsense. Listen, let me tell you something. I used to know that my prayers were answered, and I was always playing around and testing it, and I used to ask for very silly things, and I used to say that. I'd be like, oh, I want this handbag, or I want this, or I want that, just to see it happen. And then incrementally, I started saying, you know what, God, I'm really praying for guidance right now. I want you to help me through this process. Or I would, I started praying for meaningful things and not objects, over time. And though other people couldn't see it in my life, or maybe they could, I don't know, but it was like I felt it in my life. I felt guided. I felt heard. I wanted to feel full in my heart, where I didn't need anything external to make me feel whole. I didn't need a relationship. Because I realized, like, you could continue asking for things all the time. You can ask for another house and another car and this and this and that. But it's like you're trying to fill a hole. And at what point does it get to enough? There's always a time I would ask myself, like, at what point is it going to be enough? And then I got to a point where I was like, I just want to feel full in my heart. I want to no longer have a need for anything. And I think that was one of the best prayers that I've ever prayed, is that I don't actually need anything outside of me, because what I have is inside of me. And that really makes you, I think, a dangerous individual, because it's hard to manipulate someone that doesn't have exterior goals or exterior needs. Like, everybody has a need to sleep and a need to eat, but I'm saying, like, to feel whole and to feel good, it's like I don't need to fit in and all of that. Another thing on the point of God cleaning house for you and getting rid of people out of your life. You can't get blessings in your life with certain people in there. Like, the blessing will be blocked from you. For you to get that blessing, or for you to get rid of that person, has to be a personal choice. Now, people need to be gotten rid of out of your life by a particular time, so you can be in line for your blessing. And God knows you're not going to get rid of absolutely everyone. You're going to go into like a panic mode where you're going to try to keep people and save your perception of normal. That's why this is grueling, because it distorts your perception of normal. And so going through this, you're really going to try to hang on to people that you need to let go of. So these people need to turn on you and get rid of themselves. And that's something that needs to happen, and it needs to happen fast. So I want you to stop thinking that you have no friends and you have no one you can depend on. You need to learn to be alone. That is okay, and that is the point. And it's totally fine. It is very much an out-of-body experience, but you're going to come around. You're going to figure it out. And you're going to ask God to fill you up. You're going to get satisfaction from the Most High, not from other people. You may not know the timing of your blessings, but people that are against you might. So, in my particular case, I've been dealing with a spiritualist, people that look into occult practices, people that look into birth charts and stuff like that. And they may have seen something in my birth chart. They may have looked into me, and they may have seen something that they wanted. Not may have, they did. And they knew that 2024 was some sort of a breakout year for me. And it would have been either a breakout year with my business, or with a partnership, or with some sort of blessings that God has for me. They knew that. And so they made my life a living hell in 2023 so that I could forfeit what was for me. And so maybe I didn't know hold on. Okay. Even though these cards come out fast, Spirit Messages cards are my loudest cards. Like, they are my loudest cards. They come out fastest, and the messages are amazing, and they're always on point. And I think they're messages that people need to hear, and I don't know who's gonna listen to this today, but I feel like it's a message that you need to hear. But anyway, I may not have known the timing of my life, but had I gone through this alone without God, I would have absolutely forfeited my blessings and what my blessings were supposed to be about. But, you know, when God is in your corner, God is going to send you encouragement all the time. Now, I know that I'm spiritually protected. I've known that for a while. But God is going to repeat that to me every single day. Do you know how beautiful it is to have that repetition every single day of being reminded you're protected? You know, you're getting through this, of seeing and hearing and knowing the phases that I'm going through. It has been insane. It's been amazing. It's been absolutely what I've needed. So, you know, I go ahead and I give God this reminder every day that I am absolutely on board, committed, and in service every single time. Reminders are beautiful. It's why we say I love you every day. Even though the people in our lives know that they are loved by us, it's why we say it every single day. You don't know the timing of your life, and you don't know the timing of your blessings at all. You don't know the timing of your life, and you don't know the timing of your blessings. But one thing I can assure you is that it's coming. You're not being put in a trial like this for no reason. And this is very true. I've been through trials my entire life. But what happens after you survive a trial? You don't give up and you don't run away.
Hey YouTube, check out Can Boutique for super trendy dresses and genuine furs on clearance as low as 70% off. Prices starting as low as $27 Canadian. Visit www.shopcan.com.
You don't give up and you don't run away, and you stand through and you learn yourself. The biggest blessings and the biggest breakthroughs come. So the bigger the trial, the bigger the blessing. That means if you're being gang stalked, it's about to be monumental blessings. It's like you being that one person that was so unlucky to have been bound up in a vehicle and someone drove all 52 states. I hope it's 52 states, 60 states, I don't even know, 50 states, I don't even know, I'm not American. But somebody drove all of the states with you in the trunk, starving you, and you make it out alive, you survive it. What do you think is going to happen? What kind of notoriety you think is coming? What kind of blessings you think are coming after that? Everyone is going to know your name. It's an opportunity as much as it is grueling. Say they drive with you in the trunk for a year. It's fascinating and an inspiration to people that you got through that. So please don't, for the life of you, please don't think that you are the worst person to going through this. There are people that are bound in a basement somewhere, and they have been for the last 3 years, and they're starving and abusing and torturing them. It can always be worse. I always say, don't tempt the universe. You are being taken care of right now, and you're being guided. But what is very important is that you need to stay in a fighting spirit and in a fighting energy. And I don't mean wasting your energy fighting with people, but I mean looking at them for who they really are. It's just 1 or 2 people, 3 or 4 maybe, giving bribes to people along the way to bring this to you and getting the community involved. It's not 1,000 people. This is not a 1,000-man army. When you see a car sitting outside, that's just one idiot who doesn't know what they're doing, and they're going to go home to their family and have dinner like nothing, and they just made a quick like $60 on the street just for sitting in the car, and that's all they had to do. But it has a huge impact on you because you're seeing it every single day. So be mindful of that when you're out there and you're nervous and you're scared. Just be mindful of that this too shall pass, and you must take your time with it. Be patient with yourself, give yourself grace, and don't rush yourself on your journey, because there's timing, there's divine timing at hand. I was working and nothing was working at one point, but it's not meant to work at that point, because you're not in alignment, you're not in the right time. And sometimes it's like everything is right, you've learned the lessons, you've done everything, you've gotten rid of the people, you're strong, blah blah blah, everything has worked, but we need to wait for the right time. We need to wait at the right time. Things are going to move for you in October, and we are in January. So what are you going to do? Just sit tight, hang in there, learn more lessons, and do what you're supposed to do. The other thing I wanted to talk about is you already have the core skills to endure this. Everything that you need, you already have to endure this. This is not going to be anything new. All the little lessons that you need, you have the ability to ignore stupidness. You have the ability to work hard. You have the ability to hustle and put something together. You know, maybe you were hustling in the wrong way. Maybe you were in the wrong time. Maybe you were getting involved in things that you should not have been involved in. But you do have the ability to make a coin. So you don't need to worry about, well, how am I going to make $1? You have the skills to solve problems. There are going to be multiple problems coming at you all at once. But think about it. Do you really want to get money before you know how to hustle, and before you really know how to put out problems around you and look past things? You really don't. You don't want to be taking big falls. You want this to happen to you when you're broke. You want this to happen to you when you don't have much. You don't want this to happen to you. Like, imagine being Elon Musk and climbing that high, and now being no one and having nothing because they came in and they took it because you didn't know how to defend yourself. You want to talk about smear campaign and being lied and people being turned against you? Look at celebrities that someone makes up a rumor and now they can't even get work. They go to court for abusing a woman and now they can't get any jobs. Now everyone turns against them. Now they have no one in their corner. Now they're isolated. Now they're alone. These are human beings. These things happen all the time. They lift people up and they take them down. We have so many examples of that. If you give in and you work for these people and you let these people take control of your life, you are going to be in a position where these people can take you down at any moment with a smear campaign. You want to go through your smear campaigns now. You want to go through your journeys now. You want to learn your lesson. You want to get out on the field and you want to learn plays. How do they even start this? How are you going to learn what a play is? You know, you see 3 guys come into formation and you see one over here and you see one over there and an additional 3 at the back. That's a play. And then you got to go through it now that they get you, that they cut your wings now. So that you're like, wait a minute, that's what happened. I remembered there were 3 guys here and 3 at the back and 2 on either side. That's the play. Now when you rebuild yourself, you know what a play looks like. So now when you start seeing them form around you, you're like, absolutely not. The first 3 that come, you cut all 3 of their legs off. They don't even get to stand. They don't have enough. So you get to get out of this situation before it even starts. That's what you want. This is what you want. You want to learn. You want to be on the ground learning at all times. At all times. You want to be you want to be the person who comes out of this story alive, sharper. You're going to come out of alive either way. Like, gang stalkers are not here to murder you. They might want to poison you. They might want to do certain things. Mine is unhinged. And of course, he's had little wet dreams about doing that. But, you know, I don't think the main purpose here is to cause you to self-sabotage. It's to cause you to self-destruct. It's to cause you to get rid of a routine and, you know, isolate from the world and get away from people where people don't know who you are, for you to fall off. That's what it's for. It's not to like kill you, because they don't want those kind of charges. They don't want those kind of things to happen. But anyway, you know, I'm gonna leave it here because I don't want my videos to be too long anymore. I'm gonna continue this conversation because there's a whole conversation to it, but I want to really take my time to go through each point. I don't want to just rush through it just to have a video that's under an hour. So that being the case, you know, just know that you're in the right place at the right time. God's been working on you. I've come out on the other side to be able to say that. I was supposed to have gone through this. I see why I went through it. I get 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 it. Okay? Nothing is a coincidence. Nothing is by accident. You're learning and you're seeing everything that you're seeing for a purpose. You're going to grow from this experience. You're going to be a stronger person either way. Like, I know a girl who well, I don't know her personally, but I know of someone who they made her homeless. And she's still a strong person today. So you have to know, no matter where this ends, no matter where you come out, this girl is young. This girl can go from being homeless to being a public speaker, an amazing person who accomplishes amazing things, a doctor, a scientist, a lawyer. Her life is not over. She's a young girl. But she already has so much experience, so much life experience, so much experience in overcoming adversity and being strong and finding faith and knowing that God is still with you. She's more powerful than a lot of people, just mentally and emotionally. She's extremely resilient. So that's the point of view as well. If you're feeling low and you're feeling hopeless, you do not need to look at the end of the track. It's one foot in front of the other foot. It's surviving day by day. It's talking to God. And I'm going to leave you with one thing before I get to the spirit cards. You have to ask God. It's spiritual law that you must ask. God cannot intervene on your behalf without you asking. You must ask. And you have permission to retaliate spiritually because you're under attack. You go to the Bible and you will see what God does to the enemies or to the enemies of his people, his or her people. It's not pretty. You ask. Like I heard in a video, you ask for justice. Ask God to avenge you. This is what I was asking for in the thick of it. You can cry. Save your prayers to cry during prayer, because that's where God will hear you. Give that energy to God. Give that energy to God. I always look at it like this. God is like the artist and I'm like the DJ. I'm the hype man in the back. You want the artist to go out there and perform and do the job. The DJ's at the back, hyping the artist up. Giving the energy, pumping the artist up so they give a better than normal performance. You're the backup dancer. You're the DJ. You're the one giving the prayers, pumping God up. This is what I want. This is how I have it. I'm asking again. I'm asking again. And the way that you ask is important. And it doesn't matter what the emotion is. It's you're giving the emotion. It could be in happy. It could be sad. It could be in pain. It could be crying. My favorite psalm now is Psalms 30. And my favorite part of this psalm is when King David says, what is worthy? What is the price of my body or the value of my body in the dirt? Who is going to praise you? Who is going to tell them about you? You need me alive. And that's how I see it. And think about it. Think about talking to God like that. Like, you have to have a different relationship with God. But think about talking to God in a way of saying, like, it's crazy. Imagine if your kids came to you and your kids are like, you need a kid. Who's going to love you? Who's going to take care of you when you're old? Who's going to cook for you? Who's going to kiss you? Who's going to love you? I'm like that in relationships. I'm like, what's this man talking about? Who's going to take care of him? Who's going to love him? What does he mean? Like, that's how you know you got to get your relationship with God. Is you want a real active God, then you have a real active relationship. It's not like reading like how they do in a Catholic church where they're just reading like, and today that's it's not to say it's boring, but it's not. You want God to be alive and awake now. You got to talk to God in an alive and awake way, in a very real way. And real relationships, some days you're tired. Some days you're annoyed. Some days you're upset. You know, when I used to pray, there were days I would cry and I would say, I want you to, but they were tears of anger. And I would say, I want you to avenge me. Avenge me. Avenge me. I want you guys to look up the meanings of these words. Revenge, venge, vengeful, and avenge. All of these words are rooted in being persecuted first, meaning you didn't move your hand towards other people. So I'm very okay with people calling me revengeful, because that means I have stepped out of the victim box to the victor box. That's where I'm going to sit at, as a victor. And I ask God to avenge me. Ask God to avenge you. Ask God for justice. Ask God to make yourself whole. You are allowed to. You know, for me, I ask God to give them back their energy. I know my weaknesses and my strengths. I'm not good at imagining people's it takes a lot of effort to imagine how can I destroy somebody's life. But to know that there's somebody out there actively, constantly thinking of ways to destroy mine, then why do I have to duplicate the effort? I just ask God to send that and all that energy back. And I am bewildered at the things that happen. So you mean you wanted me homeless? So you mean you wanted me to have cancer? You wanted my children to pass away? What? You mean you wanted me to have no money? You mean you wanted my skin to fall apart? What? When people have to take back their energy, you would be surprised what they ask for you, and you would have never thought that. You would have never gone that far to ask for things to happen to people's children. What did the children do? It's crazy and it's scary, but this is the world we live in. So begin your relationship with asking God to avenge you, to take care of you. And don't keep looking back for when. It could take months, it could take years. I have prayers being answered right now that I prayed a long time ago. I mean, a long time ago. Years. And now they're being answered. God answers at the right time. Every thought you think is heard, much less for prayers. Prayers are a direct phone call. God hears every thought. God responds to the thoughts. I'm going to talk about in another video what's happening on your body, the sensations that you're feeling. These are not government weapons, okay? I'll talk about in another video because it's a longer video. I'm already at 47 minutes. Let me read the oracle cards that came out today. So the oracle cards for today, which are the messages that I assume somebody wants to hear or needs to hear. See, I can't even tell who's in these videos because Instagram doesn't even show me. Anyway, the oracle cards for today is: don't allow negative emotions to fester. If you are feeling frustrated, angry, or hurt, for example, just acknowledge that. Instead of fighting your feelings, go with them and work with them. Then true healing can really begin. I had to feel a whole gamut of emotions. I had to feel angry, and I had to express the anger because the anger was boiling over in me, and I couldn't continue to keep covering it up with fake positivity. I had to let it out because I have suffered an injustice, and it hasn't been made right yet. You got to feel your emotions, but don't let them lead you. Don't let them dictate what you're doing. Don't make decisions out of negative emotions. Take your time. Don't make decisions in haste. I'm going to tell you something. You are absolutely going to romanticize the idea of physically harming someone. Let it pass through. Let it go out. You are not going to ruin an entire lifetime because of one small segment of your life and someone who is not even deserving of that sort of attention. Let it pass through you. I know you want to hurt someone, especially for men, because that's how men respond with aggression. Let it go. Let it go. That's what they want. They would love to find you in a criminal situation where they can lock you up and get rid of you for good. Let it go. You are feeling somewhat confused by the events that are unfolding around you and the various seemingly contradictory information that is coming your way. Trust your instincts and do what they are telling you to do, and you will learn a lot about yourself and the direction that you want to take in life. Your intuition is the voice of God. It's very weak because your relationship with God is weak. As your relationship with God begins to evolve, your intuition begins to get strong and loud as you entertain the ideas that come into your mind that don't make sense. Like, why do you want to call yourself Haru? Where did that come from? What is that a manifestation of? So you need to continue following that inner guidance, that voice, that first voice that told you like someone's following me, that first voice that says something's wrong with how I'm using my phone and how people always know where I'm going. You need to continue strengthening that voice. And in order to strengthen that, people need to be taken away from you and out of your life. And in order to, when people continue to be taken out, then you can really hear what God is saying to you, because you're in danger and you need to keep yourself safe. So people are coming with a lot of stupidity and a lot of false information, and they're trying to throw you off. You need to sit back and ask and question yourself, like, why are these things happening right now? Why all of a sudden people want to work with me when they ostracized me for so long? They left me for dead. How comes it's these people that want to work with me? Everybody out of this sort of group wants to work. What is going on? So trust your intuition and trust the information that you're getting. And like I said, everything in the right time. I was getting frustrated, boy. I'm like, how comes nothing is working? How comes I'm not? It wasn't the right time, but the right time is coming. So take your time. Take your time with yourself. Everything in the right time. God will take care of you every step of the way. Do you not still have food to eat and a roof over your head? And do you not still have enough money? And do you not still have clothes on your back? And are you in the street begging? And let me tell you something, you better have some dignity about you and don't go begging these people for a goddamn thing. Remember whose child you are. You better not go out there just because things are difficult and go beg anybody for anything. You better remember that you're taken care of. We don't do stuff like that around here. You better have some dignity so that you walk out of this with pride and not toxic pride. But God is covering your shame in a lot of ways. Whether or not you have something to eat in this particular day, nobody needs to know that, because you're being taken care of. That's a lesson I learned from my grandmother. My grandmother used to say that she used to not have, there are days if she didn't have meat, she used to like make a sauce, make a gravy anyway for the food. And people would come by and they would say, oh my God, whatever it is you're cooking, you're always cooking something good. But they didn't even know there wasn't even meat to go with the sauce. It's just like, you know, when you make gravy, you saute your onions and your herbs and your garlic and whatever. But hey, who says you need meat with every single meal? There's vegans making a conscious decision not to eat meat. You have food and you're full and you didn't go to bed hungry. That's how God takes care of you. So suffer with God for a little bit. Because when the blessings come, they will overflow. You will not have enough table for blessings. Do not beg people that mean you no good and give them that satisfaction. Do not ask for help. You go through what you need to go through. You learn your lessons and you do your best. God will always take care of you. Keep moving forward even if you're unsure of your next step or where it may take you. Trust that you're walking the path you're meant to walk. Remember, we are walking it with you. Trust yourself more. Listen, go get you this deck. Okay, I got it from AliExpress. And I guess I can say this now. When I was getting my decks, I got all my decks for like 40 cents. And I think I got maybe like $200 or $300 worth of decks for 40 cents for Christmas. I bought them all on points. I didn't know that I didn't even know they had points. Honestly, I'd put them in my cart and it would charge me 10 cents. And it was like 10 decks for 10 cents. So this may be $13 to $20 Canadian, which means it'll be less US. But you need a little bit of motivation whenever in the mornings when you wake up before you go to bed at night. I pull Spirit Oracle cards. They really speak to me and I love them. And they just give you just the right encouragement at just the right time. Just remember that God is with you. You are not alone. There are people like myself who've gone through this and been so impacted that I cannot live with myself or even conceptualize leaving people behind alone and not giving the information. I just have to give this information. I have to let people know you're not alone. You're going through it for a reason. It's the right place at the right time. God makes no mistakes. So yeah, I send you love. I'm gonna get on with my day. It's been about an hour. Any questions in the comments are welcome. And if you like to get in contact with me, I can't at the moment, guys. I'm just recuperating from getting through this hellish nightmare. I need to find my footing first. I can't hop into developing new relationships with people, and that really goes for everyone at this time. So give me some time and let's see how things go. And maybe I'll get an email address for people who just want to get in contact and just want to find out different information. And I don't know, we'll see. But, right now it's the YouTube comments. I'm unreachable for the foreseeable future. But thank you. Have a great day and sending love to everyone going through this.